and coming to you live from College Station and Lubbock, Texas, which are 438 miles between each other. You're listening to the fifth quarter podcast back for season number 2, year number 2 for both Desmond McLaughlin and myself. Glad to have you with us, George, from College Station, and with my co-host Desmond McLaughlin coming from Lubbock on the campus of Texas Tech University. Glad to have you with us, and we are so glad to be back. I think Desmond would say the same thing. It kind of was good to get back into a routine, isn't it?
Yeah, George, definitely just, first week, syllabus week, just getting to the groove of things, getting to know your professors. Definitely excited for this next season of fifth quarter podcast.
And just like Desmond said, we're glad to have, we're hoping that you're excited just as much as we are. And we did learn a lot last year, got some technical difficulties out of the way. And so hopefully this season, in this second year, we should have some more exciting things. We'll bring you that NBA coverage that we do and all those different fun things, the World Series, MLB postseason, mid-season Heisman. You know the idea. The same format as last year. We'll do fall football weekly episodes. Then we'll do some in the winter with bowl season and national championship game. And then when we get to the spring, we'll do as many basketball. We're going to try to do more basketball episodes this year, right, Desmond?
Yes, without a doubt, George.
Because we did March Madness, but we didn't really do anything before March Madness. So
right.
I think hopefully it will be better in the spring. This is episode number 21 overall, but season 2, episode number 1. I think we'll go from there. We'll just say episode 2 next week and so on and so forth because it's a new season. But I might just remind everybody what the overall episode is. So this is episode overall number 21, episode 1 of the new season. Desmond, you ready to get into this?
I'm ready, George. Let's get straight to it.
All right. And it is Thursday, August 29th, I believe. I could be wrong. I believe it's August 29th, yes, which means it is time for the new college football season to start. Last week did not count. Week 0 never counts in my mind. We did have a good game with Miami. We did have a good game with Miami and Florida, but the real season starts this week. And that starts tonight here on the campus of Texas A&M University with a Thursday night football matchup again, this time against Texas State and the Bobcats. Desmond, again, another Thursday night game to start the season for the Aggies. Jimbo Fisher in his first year looked really good last year. I think it was a 52-7 win over Northwestern State. What are you looking forward to tonight in this second year of the Jimbo era kicks off?
Well, George, I said this last year. I say this every year. This is the week where some teams just select to choose basically equivalent to a varsity high school team. It's really a more it's true, George. It's just a morale booster weekend for some teams, and so they play lesser opponents to get that easy win out the way, and also to get the college fans back into the groove. So I'm not going to watch the A&M game. I'm sorry, George. It's gonna be a blowout. I mean, even A&M is already in the top 15. I know you don't agree with the top 25 standing so early, but they are.
I do now when A&M's ranked.
You do now.
I do now when A&M's ranked.
We do know that A&M was better than they looked last year. Jimbo Fisher is back again. I expect good things from them this year. I was telling people here at Tech, I think A&M is slept on. But I'm not looking much for this game. I don't think Texas State stands a chance.
I agree with you on the fact that Texas State doesn't really stand a chance, but I think it will be a good look to see how the Aggie offense is replaces Travion Williams. The running back got drafted last year or this past year by the Cincinnati Bengals. So now you got to see who's going to take next man up is kind of the big deal. Deshaun Corbin is really the guy who's going to be the main man. But besides that, there are some questions in the running back depth. So be curious to see what ends up happening and what we do see Jimbo do. And yes, it is week 1, so you kind of are curious on what that will entail. I also want to mention that this is only the 4th time in the last 15 seasons that the Aggies have had an experienced quarterback starting.
Which is what I was going to mention. I'm curious to see how well Kellen Mond does this year.
Yes, I think there should be some improvement. But as I was going on to that, Stephen McGee, he was the 2006, 2007 starter. Then you had Ryan Tannehill, who was 2010, 2011. Johnny Football, of course, 2012, 2013. And so Kellen Mond, this is going to be his true second year as the starting quarterback, 2018 and 2019. And I think that'll play a huge part in the offense's production. I'm curious to see what Jake Spavital, of course, he's the head coach for Texas State. He used to be the offensive coordinator for A&M when Summerlin was here a few years back. So this is his return to Kyle Field, his head coaching debut. I do think that does factor into the score prediction. I don't think it factors into the overall prediction. I've got Texas A&M winning this one. Again, another lopsided victory, 45-20. Desmond, what's your thoughts for that?
Well, George, again, I told you that this is just going to be, I think it's going to be an absolute blowout. I had A&M 51-17. I'm sorry, George, there's no competition there.
Wow, 51 points.
I think A&M's going to come out and make a point. They're going to get riled up, and then I just think they're just going to go off.
And look ahead to Clemson then? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. They want to keep the momentum.
So let's shift gears here. We talked about the Aggies starting their season tonight, which is exciting. But let's shift gears to Saturday as the Montana State, I believe, Bearcats. I don't even know what their mascot is. Goes into Lubbock and takes on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Matt Wells, the new head coach, gets his head coaching debut against a pretty minor opponent, just as you mentioned, a high school varsity team. Desmond, what do you think? What is your outlook for 2019? What can we see that should be different in the Texas Tech offense, defense, special teams, overall team?
Mm-hmm. First off, there, Montana State Bobcats.
Okay.
But you're good. Let me just talk about the game real quick. Again, you're right. I'm going to say it again. I think Montana State is even worse than Texas State. So this could be another blowout. Obviously, this is just a game Coach Wells set up. They've been promoting this game for a long time. He's literally gone on campus offering free tickets to people. So obviously, this is just a game to get his name out in Lubbock. Get that popularity that Cliff Kingsbury once had here. So I expect to see, of course, the Big 12 offense. I expect to see Alan Bowman do what he has to do. I think that he is a Heisman-worthy candidate, not a winner. I think he is Heisman-worthy.
I agree.
We saw that a little bit in the middle of the season for all of his injuries, if he stays healthy. I expect an improved defense. I've been talking to some people in the sports department because I have some classes in that building. They say that they've been working a lot on defense, because we all know the Big 12 lacks a defensive problem.
Agreed.
But let's be honest.
What was it, like 35 points per game that the defense allowed last year?
Exactly. And the way I can tell that Coach Wells is setting himself up for popularity is because our first three games are against Montana State, UTEP, and Arizona. Those should be three easy wins right there.
But seeing how Arizona played against Hawaii last week, I agree. That should be a start. That's a 3-0 start.
Yes. But here's what I don't like about it. It's because then we have a bye week, and then we have to play Oklahoma. So we're playing three easy teams. Then we get a week off, and then we have to jump into arguably one of the better college football teams in college football.
Correct.
Will that benefit us?
It depends on what we see from the Texas Tech team as a whole. I think you mentioned it earlier, but I think if Bowman stays healthy, quarterback play is going to improve. If the D-line gets stronger, if they have been getting stronger in spring ball and in fall camp, then I think it's going to be an interesting season. I think we might see a 8-4, maybe 8-4 team in Lubbock. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a 7-5 or even just 6-6 again. I don't think that's what you guys want, though. As a Texas Tech fan base, you want improvement from the premature Kingsbury firing, in my opinion. But for me, I like the chances that Texas Tech has to go 3-0, and then I think that Oklahoma game it puts an interesting storyline. 3-0 Texas Tech against a probably 3-0 Oklahoma team trying to get a leg up in the Big 12 conversation. In this game, though, I like Texas Tech 48-10. What about you, Desmond?
George, I just want to say, if his first season is 8-4, I'd be perfectly fine with that. That's a winning season. That's a bowl eligible. I would be perfectly fine with that. I have Texas Tech win this one, 66-13.
Excuse me? 66 points?
George, yes, last year, George, we used to put up 60 plus numbers against teams like Houston and worse teams like that. We're gonna score a lot of points. It's a Big 12.
And you're going to only allow 13? Again, this is the Big 12 we're talking.
I have faith, George.
All right. Well, that game is on Saturday at 3 p.m. on your local Fox Sports station. Fox Sports Southwest if you're in the Houston and Dallas markets, and Fox Sports North, I think, if you're in the Oklahoma market. All right, moving forward. Since this is our first week back, we had a lot of moves that happened in the offseason, including new coaches and new and injuries. So we're just going to break them down the best we can in the quickest amount of time. Recruiting really hit a all-time low. I mean, that's one thing for sure. But let's talk the first question. Georgia's receiving core. Right now, 5 of their starters from last year's team got drafted or were undrafted free agents and got signed. So Desmond, what does this mean for the Georgia offense? What's the next step?
Well, George, anytime that you lose a lot of players, I'm going to go back to basketball here. Like the colleges that usually have one and done players, like Kentucky or Duke, you're going to have to build a young core and work from there. You're going to have to reteach the plays, reteach everything, and you just have to work from there. Hopefully they stay. Hopefully you get more experienced players. Hopefully you build a better team. But that's really all it comes down to. It's just building teamwork, building a core, you know?
I agree. Do you think that with Georgia starting against Vanderbilt in week number 1, first week of the season, conference matchup, do you think that's going to make a difference in what we do see from specifically the wide receivers in that game?
Well, I mean, it'll be like fresh experience for them. It definitely give us a feel for what they're doing, what their situation is, how Jake is dealing with his new receivers. But we'll just have to see, and then we can talk about what we like, what we dislike from there.
I agree with that. I do think it will help. It changes the SEC East outlook a little bit because I do think it gives some other teams a little bit of a chance. Florida and possibly Tennessee, question mark. I mean, Tennessee might be a team people are gonna be sleeping on just because of how bad they've been the last few years. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them enter the SEC East conversation.
And I think that Georgia, as long as Jake Fromm is healthy, I think Georgia will be fine.
I agree. I think that it's going to be the quarterback play that's going to decide what the running backs or what the receivers do. But I do think that having new receivers and having to create that new team chemistry, it might be something that is worth watching, worth seeing how they react. Speaking of reactions, okay, Desmond. Desmond Howard on College Game Day said that Kansas goes bowling this year. How long do you think it takes Kansas to get out of the Big 12 cellar? Stop being the doormat of the league.
I'm gonna be honest, George. I'm saying 6 years. Yes.
Time out. 6 years?
Yes, George. Yes. Let me explain. Yes, they got a new coach, very good coach, but let's not deny who the real power teams are in the Big 12. You have Oklahoma, constantly good every year. You have Texas, they're back. Okay. Let's not lie, they are back. I don't like to say it, but they are back. West Virginia is always a huge contender, and then you always have 2 sleeper teams that are always really good. In my opinion, Texas Tech and Iowa State. That's 5 teams that Kansas has to get better than, you know.
Okay, but Desmond, they have only won 2 or 3 games the last 4 or 5 seasons. Do you think they're going to be able to improve on that, or do you think it's going to take? You're saying it's going to take 6 years before they finally start competing.
Yes.
So how long does it take them to finally get back into maybe going to a bowl game or trying to just become legitimate?
A bowl game? Oh, okay. Well, a bowl game.
Just not being one of the worst teams in college football. I bet.
That I'd say about 3 years.
Okay, that was what I was going to say as well. I'd say about 2 to 3 years, and then we'll see. Now, what about North Carolina? North Carolina's got Mac Brown. That his debut, his second time at North Carolina. How long do you think it takes them to get back on the right
I
pace?
I like UNC, but I think that they do not stand a chance until Trevor Lawrence leaves Clemson.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
And I think then once he leaves Clemson, I think we will see what happens. But I think Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in the league by far.
Okay.
And I don't see them beating Clemson. I don't see anyone beating Clemson this year.
That's a hot take, but okay.
I don't. And we'll have to see. But until Trevor Lawrence leaves Clemson, I do not see UNC beating them or knocking them off the pedestal.
What about bowl eligibility?
I think they will be bowl eligible this year.
Okay. Yeah, I say that too. I think there is enough for Mac Brown to help them get to bowl eligibility. I just don't know if they can beat South Carolina this week. I do think that's a big step in the right direction to getting them back into national prominence, but it's not going to be. It's going to be a few years for sure.
Right.
Okay, Desmond. The next thing I was going to ask you is, we know Alabama. They're the giant that is college football.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently, I think it was like yesterday actually, a word that came out was that their linebacker Dylan Moses is now out for the season with a torn ACL. Okay, they were already very, very low on the linebacker position. So, but not just the linebacker position, but other positions, and they lost Jalen Hurts to Oklahoma, and so quarterback, so depth is an issue. What do you think? How much has injuries impacted this team, and what do you think? Do you think that's going to play a big part into Alabama's success or not success this year?
I'm gonna answer this quick and short. No. George, this is Alabama. This is Nick Saban. This is why they recruit so many players for each position to have depth, George. Because here's what happens.
So it's next man up, and you're saying
yes, exactly. Yes, next man up. A lot of players in Alabama like to stay and play. So when you have an experienced player, you're always gonna have that freshman that's gonna be really good, just waiting to get his chance to play for Alabama. So if the experienced player gets hurt, you already got the freshman ready. And Nick Saban's ready for this, and he prepares his players for this. This is why they're such a great team. So I don't think that it will really affect them that much.
For me, I don't think it's good for Nick Saban's squad. I think anytime teams get low and low, it's not gonna be good. But I think if we've learned anything from the Crimson Tide, it's that they use their first few weeks to get those freshmen or get the young players some reps. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do here. There's no need for them to have to put 60 points on Duke. They probably will anyway, but they can use that as a stepping stone, trying to get those freshmen their feet wet, trying to get them in a position where they're not just playing whatever type of scrimmaging, but they're actually getting real game experience that they can learn from.
Right.
Okay. Transferring to the North, who do you think is the new favorite in the Big Ten now that Urban Meyer's gone? And on that, do you think we've heard all this hype about Nebraska? Is Nebraska really a team we should be paying attention to?
I think.
So answer the first. Who's the new favorite in the Big Ten?
I would say that the new favorite in the Big Ten. That's a hard one because I want to say, I think it's gonna be Michigan. I think Michigan's the new favorite.
So you think this is the year that Harbaugh beats Ohio State?
I think it is, and I think I looked at the Nebraska schedule, and they really only play 3 contenders to beat them, like good teams: Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa, and even Wisconsin and Iowa are they're a little like low in the rankings. Correct. But I think they'll lose 3-4 games, so that's not bad. But I don't think they're like a team I should be worried about going to the college football playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree. And it is worth mentioning though that they did go 4-2, I believe, over their final 6 games. So Scott
Hmm.
Frost was able to turn that program around after starting 0-5. Um, I just agree with you though. I think they're just receiving. It's one of those teams that's like people get too hyped over because they think something's
Right.
going to drastically
Right.
change in a second year. Um,
Right.
they do deserve credit because I think they will go 9-3 or 8-4 or something, which is definitely an improvement from a 5-7
Hmm.
year. I
Hmm.
just don't think it's a type of team that's going to be contending in the Big Ten championship game or a chance to go to the playoff or a chance to even like play for a national championship. I'm with you. I think it'll be up to Michigan to decide their fate. They're going to control their whole destiny in the Big Ten. It's going to be up to Harbaugh to beat Ohio State. But I think just because Meyer's gone, that doesn't mean we have to count out Ohio State. Because
Right.
Ryan Day showed us that in the 3 games that he coached, he was still able to get them to a 3-0 record. And I included a big win over TCU, which obviously TCU kind of fizzled out towards the end of the season, but at the time it was a big win. Uh, you mentioned this. I'm going to go to the next topic because I think the Big Ten is just something we have to wait to see. You mentioned this earlier, and you're going to repeat your answer, obviously. But is Texas really back? And what do you think makes this team different from all the other times that we've said Texas is back? And addition to that, how do they really stand a chance against LSU next week?
Well, George, let's. I think one thing that we both share, coming from A&M and me coming from Tech, is our dislike towards the Texas Longhorns.
I agree.
And when we played them, they were even the ball boys. They were just all cocky. They were rude. The fan base was just rude. I mean, I have a lot of friends who go to Texas. Nothing against them, but I think they're just it's just a hard situation there. But I must admit, I think they are back. They like again, they have this cocky attitude. Sometimes that can be good. We've seen it with players like Kobe Bryant, even Michael Jordan, a little cocky. Um, Jalen Ramsey, just sometimes cocky attitude can just boost morale. Tom Herman's a great coach, but let me tell you, I like Sam Ehlinger. I really do. I think he is the type of quarterback that will lay it all out for his team. He'll run 15 yards and take a huge hit just to get that first down to win the game for his team. I really like him.
See, and I agree with what you're saying. And as much as we don't like to admit it, I believe Texas might be back is probably the best way. I kind of need to see them prove that. Of course, their chance will come with the LSU game. Game day will probably be there. And I'm with you, though. I like Sam Ehlinger. I like the way he plays. I like that he is a quarterback that understands the quarterback position,
Mm.
which is trying to lead your team down the field to score a touchdown. He will do anything he has to do to accomplish that. I think LSU's young secondary might get exposed by Sam Ehlinger and his arm, but of course we can talk about this week, this coming week, for week two's preview. But I don't like the cockiness. I don't like how Texas. I don't think that's how you're supposed to be playing the game of football. You guys got to be confident rather than being cocky. There's two different things. One is that you know you're going to win, and one is that you think you're going to win, but do you have the results to back it up? And so I think it'll be interesting to see what the storyline is going into week two, and I believe it will probably be Sam Ehlinger versus the LSU defense. Who's going to make the bigger presence? Is the LSU defense going to stand up in Austin, or is Sam Ehlinger going to show everybody in the college football world that he is a Heisman contender and that he has a team that he wants to lead to a national championship game? So that's the questions we ask. So since we did sum up the offseason, let's look at what's going on so far. We've got a special edition of buy or sell. So Desmond, I'll recap for you and for myself. We have 4 statements here that I will read off. We had to choose if we were going to buy or sell. Sell meaning that we don't agree with it. Buy meaning that we're backing it and agree that it is something that I want to take a side on and agree with it. This is just something that they're big topics that have happened over the last few weeks and have gotten a lot of national attention. The first one, Miami's quarterback situation. We saw him last week against Florida. Jaron Williams, the redshirt, true freshman or redshirt freshman, either way, freshman quarterback starting.
Mhm.
Did Manny Diaz, the new head coach, choose the right guy? Buy or sell?
Out of all these, I think this was the hardest one. But
Okay.
I'm going. I want to hear what you have to say first. This is a hard one.
Okay. I chose to buy. I think he did what's best with their program right now. I do think though a change will probably be in the works when we get to week 4, 5, 6 of the season. After seeing the Miami Florida game, I think Jaron Williams looked pretty good. And I just don't. I do expect a change though because I don't like the way that their offensive coordinator Dan Enos, who is the Alabama quarterbacks coach, he's now the offense coordinator of Miami. He was very, very critical of Jaron Williams' performance. He said he wasn't happy with it, even though he had what 2 touchdowns, 285 yards or something like that. So I would buy it. I think Manny Diaz did what's right, but if you check back with me in a few weeks, I might say that it would be a sell because he didn't choose the right guy.
I'm going to say. I'm going to say. I'll say buy too. Obviously, he saw something that I didn't see in Tate Martell. But, and also, I get that he did this, but I didn't like how he kind of like didn't even challenge the position for Ohio State quarterback. You know, he
I
didn't
agree.
even try to
Yeah.
challenge it.
He didn't like it. He didn't like he wasn't named the starter, so he just left.
Yes, but he also is in works of learning a few new positions to help his team, which I will give him respect because that is hard to do. I think one of the last times I saw that was when Braxton Miller did that for Ohio State, and I think that means a lot if someone can change a whole position just to help out his team.
And I think he does seem like he's trying to do what's best for his team. And if that means he has to do something different and play a different position, so be it. I just think right
But
now,
you could also say the point is that he's tired of sitting on the bench because he probably would have sat at the bench at Ohio State, goes to Miami, and then is sitting on the bench again. So, you could also say that he just wants the position to have a starting job, but still, that takes a lot of work.
agreed. Do you think he will have a chance to play quarterback sometime this season, or do you think they'll stick with the rest of their quarterbacks that aren't named?
Well, considering that he's learning a new position, I think they'll stick with their quarterback unless, like, something drastic just happens.
All right. The next one, all this Syracuse hype. Can they compete with Clemson and others in the ACC? Buy or sell?
So, I don't want to hop on the bandwagon, but they cannot compete with Clemson.
I agree. They literally just lost their most successful prolific quarterback in their recent history to graduation, and now you're trying to tell me that they're going to come back and they're going to try to compete. I'm sorry, but I don't see anything there. I don't see any big names or big talent there to tell me otherwise. So I got to sell it too. I mean, I'll go get my money's worth in something else. I'll put my money's worth in something else, not the Syracuse hype. I think that Syracuse Clemson game being a Saturday night football prime time, I think it's just a chance for the whole nation to see Clemson whoop up on an ACC opponent.
Mm.
The next one, Desmond, I know you're going to like this one just because you were high on Kyler Murray last year.
I was right.
But someone not named Trevor Lawrence or Tua Tagovailoa, I can't even say his last name, will win the Heisman. Buy or sell?
I'm gonna say bye, George.
Okay.
I'll tell you 3 players I think could contend: Jake Fromm, Sam Ehlinger, Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence or Tua won't win. I'm just saying those are some other good quarterbacks that have a chance of winning the Heisman this year.
I agree. I believe this will be the year that a dark horse candidate wins the Heisman. I'm not saying that it won't be Sam Ellinger or something like that, who maybe is not a dark horse right now, but I think it might be like if Jonathan Taylor has a really good year at Wisconsin,
Mm.
he's not really being talked about right now. He could be a big pick to win the Heisman. And I'm going to add to that, I don't think it will be anyone from Clemson, Alabama, or even Oklahoma.
Dang, okay.
I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be that good of a quarterback in the Big 12 than he was in the SEC. And I just think it's because the Big 12 defenses, it's not that they're weaker, it's just in the Big 12, you have to be willing to force a shootout, an offensive shootout sometimes. And I don't know if he has that much star power with him, but like not just Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts in his supporting cast. I don't think there's enough in that supporting cast to help him maintain a good position in a shootout game, if it does come down to that. So I think this is if anything, this might be the most beatable Oklahoma team that we've seen in a while, just because you don't have like Hollywood Brown, or Baker or Kyler. You don't have all these big names. You just have one guy, Jalen Hurts, and that's it. I could be wrong. There could be a bunch of running backs out there that I just am not paying attention to, but I think this could be an Oklahoma team that might show us some surprises. And then the final buy or sell argument is a potential Boise State upset will happen this weekend over Florida State. Buy or sell?
I might say sell in this one. I don't see them beating Florida State this weekend.
Is there a reason? Or are you just going with your gut?
I'm just going with my gut on this one.
All right. For me, I'm going the exact opposite. I'm buying, and I think it's because too many people but I don't think many people are like viewing this as an upset. It should, or people are viewing this. People are viewing this as an upset, and it shouldn't be. Boise State is the better team in this matchup, 100%. Okay, the Broncos, I don't believe are the favorites. In fact, I believe Florida State is I didn't write it down. I believe they are the favorites, but the Broncos are going to dominate every single facet of the game. And I'll get to this in just a few minutes, but I think they will upset Florida State. And now with the game being played in Tallahassee and not being played in Jacksonville due to the hurricane that's coming to Florida, it's going to be home field advantage for Florida State. That doesn't matter. Boise State's going to go in, and they're going to go and get the win. They're going to upset, in quotes, because I don't think it's an upset. All right. After that nice little rant, we get into the part of the podcast that you've all been waiting for, people. The time where Desmond and I put our allegiances and try to make some picks and get some games right. Desmond, I believe your upset record last year was abysmal and just doesn't want to be talked about anymore because I definitely had a better upset record than you did. But you know what? It's a new year.
Exactly.
Time to start fresh, clean slate, start over, choose upsets wisely, and and try to get it right this time. We've got, I believe we got 11 games we're going to be picking today for the first week, and that includes 2 games that are going on tonight. We have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets traveling to Clemson, South Carolina to take on the top-ranked team in the country, the Clemson Tigers. The reigning national champions kick off the first official week of the season with a Thursday night showdown on the new ACC network, which, by the way, ACC network, if you're listening, can we get it in College Station, please? We much appreciate it, all right? The Yellow Jackets, they're not running that triple option offense anymore. They're going to a regular offense because it's a new coach, new generation of Georgia Tech football. Tigers are going to win this one comfortably. They're 36-point favorites. I don't think it's going to be that far off, but I've got 42-20 Clemson. Desmond, what about you?
George, I said that Clemson is going undefeated this year. I have them beating Georgia Tech 38-10.
Okay. So we both do think it's not going to be a 36-point
No.
spread. It's going to be closer. And I agree. I think Georgia Tech might have some momentum. And who knows? They may be able to put some more points up on the board than we think. And we might get an interesting game. But I don't think I think Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for like 5 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised. The next game that's also tonight on this opening Thursday is the 14th ranked Utah Utes traveling to Provo, Utah to take on the Brigham Young Cougars, also known as BYU. This rivalry game is called the Holy War. If you couldn't tell, it's because the Mormons, Utah, you get the idea. And these two teams better be praying for some answers. See the pun there? Ha 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 ha. Praying for ha ha. Come on, Desmond, you gotta laugh. Come on. I think the Cougars start the season off strong. Utah is overrated and overranked. The 100th meeting of the Holy War rivalry goes to the Cougars, 23-20. Desmond, what about you?
Well, George, I think Utah's going to win this game, but I do think it'll be close. I have Utah winning this game 27-17.
And the spread on this game is 6.5 in the favored to Utah. So you definitely are taking Utah with the spread. I'm not with the 3-point field goal victory. So that's interesting. All right, we got a matchup of OSU schools. That's Oklahoma State and Oregon State this time. And again, it's in the Corvallis, Oregon or Beaver Stadium or Oregon State Stadium, whatever they call it. If you're an Oregon State fan out there and you want to message me on Twitter, DM me on Twitter because I got your stadium wrong, go for it. This game is tomorrow, Friday at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. These two schools battled it out in baseball just a few months ago, and Oklahoma State won all 3 games of the series. And I think just like they were in those games, they'll all be close. This football game will be closer than the experts think. I've got Oklahoma State 35, Oregon State 28. Desmond?
I agree with you. I think Oklahoma State is going to win this one, but I do think it will actually be close. I have them winning 17-10.
Wow, so very defensive.
Yes.
The spread that's the sports books have listed the spread for this game, Oklahoma State at 14, minus 14, so 2 touchdown favorite. Of course, moving to the game that nobody really wants to predict because we all know the winners, but Duke against number 2 Alabama, playing in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game in Atlanta. This game is going to come as no surprise. Neutral site opener against an inferior opponent for the Crimson Tide. This time it's in Atlanta. Have we heard this before? Multiple times. Saban rolls over the Blue Devils in a game that I think can be turned off in the third quarter. Bama 64, Duke 20. Desmond?
I have 56-6 Alabama. This is just a joke.
Oof. 56-6. That's they've got Bama at a 33.5 favorite. And yeah, that's the biggest favorite I've ever seen. Close to the A&M one. A&M is a 33-point favorite, by the way, tonight. I don't think we'll cover the spread, but regardless. We go to the next game, and these are all games that are on Saturday. That Bama game is on 2:30 p.m. Central on ABC. If you're interested in seeing the slaughter, that is Alabama. But and this next game is at 3 p.m. And it's a battle of 2 of the most prestigious universities, academically speaking, as the Northwestern Wildcats take on the 25th ranked Stanford Cardinal there in Northern California. To me, it gives off a very old school feeling, and because that's going to happen and play onto the field, I've got Stanford winning 13-10. If you want offense, go find another game on, because you won't see it in this one. What about you, Desmond?
Well, George, I actually think Northwestern comes away with the upset this game.
Is this your upset?
This is no. This is one of my upsets.
Okay.
I have Northwestern winning 28-24.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, Stanford is listed as a 6-point favorite. So, okay, I can see you taking that. So this is not your upset, you said.
No, it's not.
You just think Northwestern should be ranked and should be better than Stanford.
Yes.
That's fair. All right. In this game that now I was talking earlier, Boise State will be traveling to Florida State, not playing a neutral site game in Jacksonville. Um, but uh, I believe will come with a surprising result from the good old Rocky Mountain Sweethearts, is what Boise State's called, even though they're barely in the Rocky Mountains. The Broncos go back west with an, again, quotes of upset win. And Willie Taggart, Florida State's head coach, his hot seat just got a little bit warmer. Boise State 42, Florida State 30. Desmond, what do you got?
Again, George, I told you Florida State. I think that they'll win this game. I think Florida State will win this one 30-27.
And just as I write it down, I will tell you that Florida State is indeed a, drum roll please, they are a 6.5-point favorite. So they're basically touchdown favorite. So it might be closer than the experts think. It might not. We'll see. And the next game that is going to be an interesting one is the Virginia Tech Boston College rivalry. This is a high-flying rivalry. They're both birds, the Hokies and the Eagles. They're trying to soar the new heights. I think the Eagles are on the right side of this game. I got Boston College 31, Virginia Tech 24. Desmond?
Wow. I have Virginia Tech win this by 17.
Whoa. Okay.
Maybe
Virginia Tech is a 4.5-point favorite, so I could see that. Why so big?
maybe I could be giving Virginia Tech too much credit.
Do you think they compete in the ACC?
Again, you know who they're still have to deal with.
Okay, but do you think they put a conversation starter and try to get to the ACC championship game against Clemson?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to change my.
You've already said Virginia Tech by 17.
No,
I
know. Just the spread is. All right, I'll stick with it. It's Virginia Tech by 17.
All right. Okay, in the game that College Game Day is going to, we've got a 2010 BCS National Championship game. Desmond, I want you to go back 9 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where were you? You were what? We were what? 10 years old, going to 5th grade or something like that? 6th grade, maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
Do you remember the Oregon-Auburn National Championship game? Do you want me to tell you a player from that game?
Yes.
How about we throw out Cam Newton?
Yeah, I was going to say, besides Cam Newton, I don't...
Michael James from Oregon?
Okay, yeah.
And it came down to a field goal to win the football game, 25-22. Well, I'm sorry. We're going to get another down-in-the-trenches type showdown between these two teams. The Ducks and the Tigers are going to send us back to 2010. And just like they did then, the Tigers are going to win yet again. This time I've got a 34-23 victory for the Tigers. What about you, Desmond?
I had the same thing. This wasn't my upset. I guess you said the same thing. I have Tigers winning 24-21.
The Tigers are a 3.5-point favorite, so that would be just barely not covering the spread. But I do think it will be close. It will be very close. So this isn't your upset, you said?
No, that was my upset.
Oh, that is your upset. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what this hype is about Oregon. The only player they've got is Justin Herbert.
I don't want to be the same as you, so just make the Northwestern my upset.
Well, that's not my upset. My upset was the Boise State game.
Oh.
The Boise State, Florida State. So.
Okay, well, yeah, keep the Auburn one.
I think that's a good choice. I think Auburn is a dominant team, and they've got that freshman quarterback starting, Bo, I think is his name, Bo Nix or something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We got 3 more games to get through, and then we're out of here. All right. In the Belk College kickoff neutral site game in Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got the Battle of the Carolinas. Mac Brown's second debut as the North Carolina coach, and Will Muschamp's a desperate attempt to try to revive the South Carolina Gamecocks football program. The Gamecocks are trying to get a win to start their tough gauntlet of a schedule that has Bama, Clemson, and Georgia all on it. I do believe the South Carolina Gamecocks win this one. They are 11-point favorites, but they only win this game by 1. Gamecocks 31, Tar Heels 30. What about you, Desmond?
Well, George, I agree with the 11-point game, but I'm going to flip it, and I think the Tar Heels win this game.
Wow, you think Mac Brown starts off on the right
I do.
foot?
I do.
Wow. So so what do you got? UNC by 11 then?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's surprising. I didn't think that almost wants me to think that that's your upset. But even though your upset's the Oregon Auburn, because that's a big, big hot take. All right. Do you just have that like gut feeling, or
I actually do. I feel it.
Mac Brown's going to start making a difference then, right off the bat?
Yeah, but I do think that he'll win that game.
Okay. All right. Let me picture this next game. A team that's trying to get back to their offensive production, like their solid offense, okay? Against a team that has had that offense and just really is trying to find a way to pull off some wins over some big teams. I'm talking about the Fresno State against USC game that's in Los Angeles on Saturday night. USC is a 13.5-point favorite. Fresno State is a Bulldog team that has had 9 to 10 wins in 4 of the last 7 seasons. They beat UCLA last year 38-14, which was their largest margin of victory over a Power 5 team in over 20 years. Because of that, I think they will contend with USC, but USC will find a way to barely get out with a win. I've got USC 42, Fresno State 41. What about you, Desmond?
Well, I had a low scoring game, George, but I definitely agree with you. I have USC winning this game, and I think it'll be 24-9.
To 9?
Yes, I think only Fresno State will only get field goals.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting score, 24-9. It's not something that you usually see, but
yeah,
I like it.
I'm really bad at deciding the scores of games, but I can easily tell you by the spread or who's going to win.
I liked it though. It's something different. And finally, the game on Sunday. And sorry for you Notre Dame fans, we're not picking the Notre Dame Louisville game. Doesn't excite me enough, or Desmond for that matter. But this game does excite me because Houston and Oklahoma played just a few years ago with all the talk saying that Houston was going to be a Big 12 expansion candidate, and that all it was all about was expansion. 3 years later, Houston is still playing in the American Conference, but they did expand to the Big 12 to get their new coach. So, there was some Big 12 expansion, if you will. I just don't think he's going to have, even though he knows what the Sooners, Dana Holgorsen, former West Virginia coach, I know he is going to be expecting what the Sooners are going to bring. I don't think anyone can expect what Jalen Hurts is going to do in that offense. And Houston just doesn't have enough talent yet. They're getting there, just not enough right now. I've got Oklahoma winning by 13, 40-27. What about you, Desmond?
I agree. I have Oklahoma winning this game. I have a feeling that Jalen Hurts won't start off so well. I have a feeling that maybe we raise his expectations a little too high.
Okay.
But I do have him winning this game 37-28. I really like Houston. I really do.
I think they're really good, but they have to make sure that they can compete with everyone.
Right.
And that's something that is interesting. This is a thought out there. I don't know why we're thinking the Oklahoma game is going to be so close, because they're actually a 23-point favorite in that game. So I don't know if that's going to be something. I think that they're just looking at Jalen Hurts too much. I really
Right.
do. There is one more game, and I just want your thoughts. It is tonight. It's the ESPN game tonight. Cincinnati is playing UCLA. Cincinnati is a 2.5-point favorite. This is basically a pick'em game. That's how close the spread is. Do you think this game is going to be close as the experts are predicting, or do you think it's going to be a blowout? You don't have to tell me a winner. You just got just something to bring up. Do you think it's going to be a blowout, or do you think it's going to be close with a spread
I think it's gonna be like a 10-point game.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a field goal game. I think one of these teams is going to get like a maybe 14, maybe even a 21-point win. Like something in me just doesn't like when you have a spread that close, it just almost makes it seem like somebody's going to be able to break apart from the other team. If you know what I mean, and by saying that.
Yes.
Well, I do think we have one more topic, and that is our small schools. Desmond, I can't remember who you picked last year. I know you were not very enthusiastic about that.
I think I picked Arizona State.
Oh, that was right, Arizona State, because then I argued that that's not a small enough school. And
Right.
well, you know what, Desmond? Something to me, I got 2 words for you. Mason
Oh my gosh.
Fine.
Ericus.
He might be the best quarterback in the state of Texas right now. Okay, better than Sam Ellinger, better than Kellen Mond, better than Shane Buechele at SMU, better than Derek King at Houston. Mason Fine is a name you're going to want to remember because he is going to get drafted, and he is going to go play in the NFL. That being said, he's still got 1 year of eligibility. You know I'm repping the North Texas mean green. This time, they're going to go win the Conference USA. Mic drop. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. North Texas is going to win the Conference USA championship. Desmond, you can't top that. Give me your small school, please.
George, you just mentioned them a second ago. I just mentioned them a second ago. I'm going to be biased here, George. I'm choosing the Houston Cougars.
Okay.
And you got Marquise Stevenson and you got Derek King. It's the defense that worries about me, but it's not the offense. I really like them, and the only problem is that they start off playing Oklahoma the first game. But Oklahoma is the hardest team that they have to play, so that could be a good thing, you know?
What about Washington State? What about North Texas?
Yes, but do they compare it to Oklahoma?
Fair point.
No. So I really like this, and I will see the next 3 weeks, but I don't think I'll be changing unless they just start off 0-3, you know? But they're always going to lose the first game, but I want to see how they do against Oklahoma.
I like that. And if that's the case, then we'll have to do something for that Houston North Texas game. That's, something when they go to play each other.
Right.
And with that note, I believe that brings a close to the first episode back in season 2. And we thank you for joining us again on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. So enjoy your wonderful weekend. We'll be back next week, probably Thursday again, to talk week 1 recap and week 2. Again, people, college football is back, and it's back with a big form. Saying so long from Lubbock and College Station, I'm George Koff, and for my colleague in Lubbock, he's Desmond McLaughlin. Come on, you gotta say it this time. Come on, he's
Desmond McLaughlin.
And so long, adios, and you've been listening to the Fifth Quarter Podcast. Take care.